Hello, and welcome to Carbon Capture Magazine's panel preview podcast series. I'm your host, Danielle Piekarski, and I'm here today with Todd Taylor, attorney and CEO at Avisen Legal. Welcome to the podcast, Todd. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Exciting to be here.
We're excited to have you. Todd will be speaking at the National Carbon Capture Conference and Expo in Des Moines, Iowa, from November 8th to 9th this year. He will be speaking on the Tuesday afternoon panel titled Developing Carbon Capture and Storage or Utilization Products That Attract Investors, Protect Project Owners, and Get Funded. So Todd, why don't you start by telling us a bit about yourself and Avisen?
Sure. Thank you very much. So I am a lawyer who loves working with entrepreneurs that are seeking to do some really exciting, good things for the world. And so I've been involved in renewable energy and sustainability products for about 25 years, doing everything from helping develop the business plan to the initial funding to the project funding, buying and selling. So carbon capture, reuse, utilization is really exciting. You've seen it coming on the horizon for many years. You've seen it used in some more esoteric applications, but now it's really starting to hit the mind of a lot of people as everyone's trying to figure out what it is that they can do, right? Whether they've got a big facility or a small facility, or they're trying to develop something, trying to figure out, how this can work for us. And so that's what we love getting involved in, helping develop and finance those projects. And so my law firm, Avisen Legal, is likewise a firm that was founded around this idea of doing good. And our biggest practice group is the sustainability impact, is what we call it. And it's working with developers and business owners and financiers on finding projects and doing things that are really good and exciting for the world. And so we're an 11-person law firm. We do projects all over the United States. We're just business law, so we don't get involved in divorces and we don't get involved in trial work. We're really laser focused on getting the deal done.
Great. Okay. And the name of your presentation in the upcoming show is Maximizing Carbon Credits, Applications, and Technologies. Can you tell us a bit about what we can expect from that presentation?
Yeah. So we so often work with clients or talk to companies that are like, boy, I've got a facility, or I'm trying to build a facility that does X, Y, and Z. And I hear about carbon credits, and, I kind of know what we use for energy, and maybe we have fermentation, so we have, CO2, maybe we're doing biogas, and so we have methane. But what does all this mean to us? Like, how do we use it, right? And so my presentation is designed to really connect a variety of different end uses to facilities, right, or companies. And so if you're a concrete manufacturer, right, what could you be doing? I mean, how do you look at it? I mean, there's different volumes required for the 45Q credits. And then there's different payment amounts. And those all depend upon, who you selling it to and what kind of facility are you. So the presentation is going to say, well, if you're this kind of facility, you fit over here. If you're this kind of facility, you fit here. And this is what you're required to do. And then next is whatever kind of facility you are, if you have the ability to send your carbon for sequestration, this is what you can get as a tax credit from the federal government under this Section 45Q for doing sequestration. Or if you're happen to be next to a brewery that is facing a national CO2 shortage, what can you get from, again, the tax credits for sending your CO2 over to them? And then I'm also going to look at the emerging and really starting to get hot corporate market for carbon credits, where big companies, small companies, companies that really care about their carbon footprint and getting to net zero, are starting to buy carbon credits and pay companies for sequestration and reuse. More than just buying the CO2 themselves, but paying decent money for you to inject and sequester or find a beneficial use. And so that's really exciting. And I think a lot of people that are, running a really good business, a really interesting kind of meat and potatoes, industrial facility, they're really good at what they do. This is all new landscape for them. And so my presentation is designed to really connect these new ideas of the carbon credit and the carbon markets to really what people are doing now.
Interesting. I'm excited to hear it. I know you said it earlier, it's a lot, and I do get kind of overwhelmed sometimes with all of this across all the industries and the new IRA now. Things are changing. So can you tell us a little bit about what carbon credits are?
Sure. So the Inflation Reduction Act has made some changes to the Internal Revenue Code, Section 45Q. If you're listening to this and you're curious about it, you can Google Section 45 big Q, capital Q, and you'll find a lot of stuff about it. The credit has been around for a while, but the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, changed it in two significant ways. So the base credit has always been a federal tax credit for either energy producing facilities or industrial facilities that have carbon emissions, to incentivize them and give them this tax credit for either geologically sequestering their carbon, their CO2, or finding a reuse, a beneficial reuse for it. And so it wasn't used very often because the amount of carbon that had to be produced for a facility to even qualify was enormous. 500,000 metric tons, so, massive amounts of carbon, so a very large facility. And the IRA changed those to much lower amounts that you need to be emitting to qualify for the credits. And so what it's really done is opened up this opportunity for facilities, whether it's a power plant or a cement company or a soybean crush facility or whatever it is. If you have CO2 that you are emitting, now those companies have a lot more opportunities to take advantage and be able to capture the credit. And then on the money side, the actual, what's the credit worth side, the IRA also increased those dollar amounts. And so there's two tiers. There's the higher dollar amount that's paid for geological sequestration. So essentially deep well injection, right? And the lower dollar amount is really for this reuse, right? And that would be like the bottlers and the brewers and the breweries for them to be able to do it. One of the other really nice things about the Inflation Reduction Act, you can get what is known as direct pay. So the federal government, for certain types of technologies or certain types of users, actually just doesn't even just give you a credit. They pay you, right? So if you're supposed to get a $1 million payment or a tax credit for certain types of technologies and end users, you can actually just get that $1 million check, which is really nice. But also the IRA made it so that you can actually transfer that credit. And so there are tax investors that exist in the world that have an appetite for these credits because they need to offset income against it. And just like the ITC for power projects that we've seen with solar and wind, and now we're going to be seeing with biogas, this 45Q there's a world of tax investors out there that are interested in getting a hold of this credit, and they pay money for it. And you need money to develop these projects because there's capex, there's opex that are involved in all of these things. So it's really exciting.
It is certainly exciting to see what's in store for the industry with that expansion. So what technologies are of interest to industrial facilities that may not have been included in the tax credit prior to the Inflation Reduction Act?
Well, we'll certainly go into a lot more detail on the panel, but right now you're seeing a variety of technologies that can scrub CO2 out of fermentation. If you have natural gas boilers, the CO2 will be scrubbed out of the flue gas. You'll see. I've talked a lot about biogas. I do a lot of work in that space. Somebody's doing biogas out of anaerobic digestion. They want to upgrade that to RNG for pipeline injection. Well, people are scrubbing the CO2 out of that as part of the upgrade process. That's all that's going on. And so, that's just part of what's going on. And so we talk about cement a lot because cement actually has a big carbon problem. They wouldn't ever want to talk about it that way, but everything's going to this regulation of carbon to reduce it. And so the concrete industry, the cement industry, has to be able to figure this out. And there's a lot of initiatives, and there's technologies that are being deployed for them that they've been using for a while, that now you're starting to see applied other places. And then you're finding, kind of off the wall, really fascinating technologies, like technologies that scrub CO2 from the atmosphere, right? You're seeing talk about some projects in Europe. You're seeing some talks about projects in the United States. I think Carbon Capture Magazine just did a little article about one in the United States not too long ago that they're working on just scrubbing carbon from the atmosphere, CO2 from the atmosphere. And, I think you're going to see a lot of really exciting technologies popping up. And, it'll be really interesting. It's nice to see this innovation happening. Innovation's great because it opens opportunities where there weren't some before, and it also tends to drive down prices. So, the solar industry has done a great job historically about innovation with manufacturing techniques for solar panels and all of that. And that's really driven down the cost for deploying solar. And I think as carbon continues to mature, as more money flows into it, there's a lot of investment interest into this space. There's a lot of people that are looking to deploy these technologies and get the benefit of carbon. Ethanol plants, right? I mean, they're now all over this, right? I mean, every ethanol plant is looking around trying to figure out how to do carbon sequestration, carbon capture, sequestration, reuse, whatever it is. It's like back in the days when, everyone was trying to figure out how to do fractionation, right? And so this rush for new technologies and deployment is pretty exciting. So we'll have more of that on the panel.
Yes, great answer. Again, we are talking to Todd Taylor, attorney and CEO at Avisen Legal. Todd, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, I just want to say, I've been in this industry for almost 25 years, and this is one of the most exciting times that I've ever seen. That includes 2007, 2008, where there was this huge boom. I think now we're finally getting to the point where smart money and smart customers are driving demand. Not just people saying, hey, I've got a cool technology, but can't find anyone willing to invest in it or willing to buy it. You're now seeing that. And that's a radical shift. And then you have federal and some states incentivizing these things as well and really helping to kickstart this industry. It's a great time to be in this world, this market, carbon capture in particular, is just seeing a huge boom, and it's fun. I mean, I hope people can tell that we get excited about this. And when we get excited about this, it just makes us, as lawyers for companies doing this, it's just exciting to work with that. So.
It sure is. If you would like to hear Todd speak at the National Carbon Capture Conference and Expo in Des Moines on November 8th and 9th this year, you can check out the agenda in the expo hall at 2022-nccc.bbiconferences.com and register before October 19th to receive discounted early bird rates. Todd, thanks again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you in Des Moines this year.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Yes, and thank you to our listeners. We hope to see you in Des Moines as well at the show. Until next time.